welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan. And we're doing, well, if the hat wasn't obvious, I'm assuming it's somewhere in the title, we're doing something. I mean, I'd be lying if I said we're coming in here super Christmas themed, but I figured, only a few days till Christmas, might as well get the, kind of get with it. But at this exact same time, I'm now seeing myself in the webcam. I'm immediately regretting that. Just immediately. But I'm already here. It's too late to turn back now.
You've committed to the cap and everything like that, you know.
Too late to back out now.
No, once the hat's there, it's all over from that point on. Yeah. No, yeah, I guess there is all those good Christmas-ness stuff going on. I feel like the upside is since I don't celebrate Christmas, I see nearly as many of those.
Well, I guess the thing with me is, I'm not going to lie, I mean, I really like Christmas and I celebrate Christmas, but I'm not a Christian. But I think that's just one of those things that it is just kind of like, I think the weird thing about Christmas is it's kind of like, to some certain extent, there's some people where it never meant anything to anybody. There's some people where they're devout Christians, and there's other people where I think it's kind of like you're sort of chasing the dragon of your childhood. I think every year, because those movies you really only watch at Christmas time. There's some movies good enough you could watch them any time of year, but there are movies that are not the best movies. People put them on at Christmas time, like some of the claymation ones, or even like, I think it's a good movie, but I really watch Home Alone around Christmas time if I am going to watch it. Well, a movie like Die Hard, I feel like you can watch any year, but Christmas is always fun to put that on. But at the same time, though, when I was thinking about it, because how many movies, it's just kind of like you kind of get older, you like realize, I mean, I know it happens with a lot of movies you grew up with as a kid, where you just watch it, you're like, this isn't as good as I remember, but it's the soft fuzzies, and then you watch it as an adult, and now I feel like a lot of Christmas movies, like, God, a lot of these are fucking shit. But you just have that, like, the year I saw this is the year I got an N64, so therefore the movie's magical, Yeah,
it all ties together. Well, it's kind of like Christmas, like, songs, too, because whenever you start hearing that, and, like, it'll come on the radio when, like, you're inside a restaurant or something like that, and you go, that really is the golden ticket, though, for, like, if you want to be an artist that gets paid for the rest of your life, you just got to make a slightly popular Christmas song. Because that's all it's got to be. It's just going to be slightly popular. Enough that the radio will play it every goddamn year, and you'll always get a kickback no matter what.
I guess you get those ones where, like, people are more well-known for that Christmas song they do than anything else they've done. Like, I'll be honest, I have no idea where he stands in jazz or horn or is a saxophone player or whatever, but, like, Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass, I have zero interest in checking out the rest of their work. But every Christmas, I play their Christmas album. So I'm not sure if he's like a legend. Like, you don't know what else he's done. Like, I just know his Christmas album. Like, I have no interest to check out anything else. But, the Christmas song that everyone loves that I fucking hate is I hate the Mariah Carey one. Maybe because I hear it too much, but I just really hate that Mariah Carey Christmas song.
Yeah, I think that's more. I think that goes with, like, so many of them. It's just like because you hear them so often, that's the biggest issue to them all. Like, like many of things. Like, if you probably only heard it once in your entire life, you'd be like, oh, that's a pretty solid song. But the fact that you're going to hear it 10,000 times every single time you step out the door. I mean, the ideal thing is as long as you don't go anywhere, you'll never hear it.
Well, I don't get tired of hearing Stevie Wonder's Christmas album or Elvis Presley or Frank Sinatra's Christmas album. So there's something about that one Mariah Carey song, like, fuck, not this shit, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's too poppy for me.
It's just one of those ones. It's one thing I like about Christmas, too, is when people ask you if you want to be involved in, like, either a gift-giving thing or something or another like that. And then I just tell them, I don't celebrate Christmas. That stops any of those conversations dead in their tracks, and nobody questions anything else from that point on. It literally does. It's like one of the best things. It's like, because I think they go, no one's ever reacted that way to it. Like, just don't celebrate. Nope, not at all. Not one bit. I acknowledge it exists, but that's about it.
We celebrate pagan style. Like, oh, is that like, just with just like some like, old fashioned-y kind of way, just no Santa Claus? Well, yeah, there's definitely no Santa Claus. We also like light a tree on fire, a giant fuck pile around it in the snow. Like, oh, okay. Didn't know that's how you. I mean, I'm guessing that's how they did it. Like, I feel like we start there and then it trails off to Santa. I'm guessing there's an evolution. I mean, the mistletoe is literally like there's some pagan religion or some part of paganism where just like mistletoe, you know what that is? What's that? That's jizz from the gods. Like, oh, so you have to fuck under it. Like, oh, okay. But then it just became like, let's tone it back, just kiss. And now there's always that guy at the Christmas party, like, hey, look what's going on. I'm like, oh yeah, just stay away from creepy Carl.
Yeah, that's what I feel. There's like one of those ones where one guy woke up the next morning and just saw a bunch of naked bodies like underneath the Christmas tree, and someone's like, you know what? This is looking a little bit weird here. I'm gonna put a couple bows on these right there. There we go. That looks a little bit better.
Well, it really came from. Well, it was like the thing is, a lot of Christmas stuff. I think it's funny because like a lot of like hardcore Christians and Puritans fought like Christmas so hard. Just like, no, you just praise Jesus and you sing some Jesus songs, and you go back to fucking work, like. A Christmas Carol is, I mean, I figured it was probably something social at the time, but it was actually way more political and of the time than I thought it was. There's a point where I didn't know this till recently, where I guess the Puritans in England got more power than what they usually did. And they started saying like, hey, all this, because, the original, I think the way, this is just me loosely paraphrasing something I've heard before. So it was like Christianity absorbed paganism and all that, saying, okay, you know what? Even though Jesus was born in spring, we're going to celebrate his birthday in winter to absorb all this pagan bullshit. And then out of that, like people are like, well, we still kind of like the fucking around the flaming tree. Like, oh, this guy's gonna no, and then they slowly try to pick away at that, but people are like, hey man, we like having the day off, we like playing soccer, basically pagans are trying to like make it like a thing, like, hey, you can get fined if you're not open Christmas Day, like all this shit that like, just basically no fun, no Christmas carols. Apparently Ghost Stories was a big part of it back in the day. And literally A Christmas Carol was a statement of the time, like, yo, fuck these Puritans, let's party.
Yeah, I could kind of see that, how that would be, and then as time goes on, no one thinks anything of it anymore past that point.
But I guess it also came back from some Odin time shit, like where like, hey man, there's like, this is the time of year we all fucking die, so yeah, we got to worry about Krampus, we got to worry about some other like Christmas time like mythology shit. But then like Brisnuckle, what the fuck was it called? I actually pulled this up, just Belsnickel, something called Grayla. Let's see, that's the weird. You type in Christmas monster, you think you're gonna get like, okay, Krampus, Grinch, and like three others maybe, but then there's the Yule Cat. There's Gremlins show up, but yeah. So there's a lot more than you think.
Germans from Die Hard show up.
Like Hans Gruber, like, oh yeah, there you go. Right next to Krampus. Good placing, but like it's one of those things where a lot of it was like, hey man, we just gotta like huddle and survive, and hey, let's hey, you know what? We made it. We made another year. We usually die this time of year, but we made it. Here's a gift,
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's like the whole thing. Like even like you just take like the Christmas spirit thing, even in like the U.S. kind of variation of it, is I think the whole point of having all like the jolly stuff and all the lights and all the glow and all like the happy feel and so on is like, let's be honest, if you just like went through winter time like normally, like no fucking bells and whistles, like no special things, none of this fucking gift shit and so on like that, you just get back to fucking work, you got 6 hours of daylight, it's fucking raining and snowing on you out there, get fucking used to it.
I'll be honest. I think that Christmas we should celebrate it in January because that's where it's probably January or February. Because I feel like that's where it's a little bit more kind of like January is probably where it's at its coldest. I feel like in February it eases off a little bit, leading into spring. But like,
yeah, over here in East California, it feels like for like the last 15 years, January is like that like brief glimpse of summertime. It's that momentary month that you could pretty much go swimming for one moment, and
January.
January, and then what I always consider February, March. That's true winter.
I'm having a different memory right there. I'm not summer. I mean, I know there was like a couple of freak days where it was like 70 suddenly, but not regularly. Really, I mean, like
yeah.
There
a lot of times is like you'll hit that 70 mark where you could go literally jump back in the water again, and it's pretty normal. And then all of a sudden, hard winter comes February, March, where it just starts really going snowy, getting really icy. A lot of times even into April, and then it starts to come, and then May's kind of the fade out month.
I remember a little bit of a delayed winter. I remember that you get like a hard hit in January, like maybe one or two small ones in December, a hard hit in January, and then like maybe a weird random day where it's 70, and then like out of that you end up getting like. So I remember going into like May for a minute, just the winter, just randomly, but it would depend on the year, of course. This has to be really interesting for people who don't live in East California.
California.
But at the exact same time, though, here though, it's just like, holy shit. Like, I'm not going to lie. I feel like I'm trying to lean more into like the Christmasness more so this year, aside from being away from my family, but also just like the lack of daylight and how like, I thought I was like, oh yeah, I know California weather is nicer than a lot of the rest of the world. But then I was like, I was spoiled. I was like, I was not ready. I was like level 12 walk thinking he could handle the Elite Four. No, not at all. It's like I mean, I'm not saying it's the hardest. It's by no means like, it's not snowing all the time or anything. But the thing is that it's so rainy and overcast here so long. And then on top of that, the part of California we live, you always have some green trees. Yeah, you get some trees, the leaves turn brown, fall and die, and the tree's barren, but you got a lot of other trees around that are green year round. Here, like 90% of the trees, once winter comes, they're like, oh, fuck this. They drop the leaves, and then it's just like barren trees, overcast sky, raining, gets dark at 4:00 in the afternoon, depending on what part of winter you're at. Doesn't get light out till like, 9, maybe 10 o'clock, depending on the time of year it is. So it's just like, holy shit. Yes, this is why they started doing like, dude, let's start lighting some candles and shit around these trees. This shit's fucking depressing.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally it. There's actually a question I've been meaning to ask you for like a long while but I always forget is, do you have any allergies when you're over there?
Do I have any allergies?
Yeah, like from like the trees or the pollen or any of that kind of stuff.
Well, I did back in the States too. I mean, I do have allergies.
No, because that's the problem I have is in the States, I have 24/7 allergies every single day, no matter what, if I go outside pretty much. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. It could be the dead of winter. It could be middle of summer. I'll still have them. I always kind of wonder though, but being back in Europe is if you'd be like, oh, this is where my body evolved. So I have much more immunities to this where, let's be honest, in California, you're practically brand new in like 100 years there.
Yeah, it's winter, my allergies. I mean, yeah, I could still be sneezing and coughing because of like, having a cold or flu or something. But like, as far as allergies go, no, not as much during winter time. But during spring, it hits fucking hard because the food, because that's the thing. When spring
still gets you over there is what you're saying, though.
Yeah, that hits me when we get to spring, but it's not like but I think it's just because you're so like barren in such like not frozen, but just such like a damp, cold wasteland for like 4 months, and then suddenly like a flower goes like all it's falling out in your face, and then like, oh, okay, this is now it's hitting me, you know.
Okay, because I was just wondering that the whole time. I was wondering. I'm like, I wonder if the allergies are actually not that bad. I'm like almost at that point where I'm like, I think I need to be like one of those people that's got like tuberculosis or something like that, and just like moves to like New Mexico or something, where it's like, where is like the air pure enough that like I don't have these continuous allergies no matter what time of year it is. I did not evolve to be in California apparently yet.
Get to New Mexico, so I'm like, oh well, it's cheap land, but it's my land, and all of a sudden there's some like railroad baron just like, I need this land, boy. You know? Like, oh, we're still doing this shit? Yes, we're still doing it even today, you know.
You don't live on the reservation.
He throws like just a wad of like 20s on the porch, like, you have till tomorrow, you know, just waddles off with his fucking bed lamp. Some 310 the Yuma shit.
Yeah, one of those ones there. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those ones. It's the damn trees and all that stuff that gets in the way.
Well, no, I'm still liking it here, you know. But at the same time, when winter comes, it is a little bit of that. When winter comes in the States, it was just like, okay, so it's gonna be, you know, a little colder, whatever. I just gotta wear my hoodie when I go outside when it's cold. That's all I gotta do. Just wear a hoodie and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Or here, it's just like, oh fuck, let me get my scarf, let me get my beanie. Because before I'd be, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, there's up here in America, like, you're wearing a scarf. Why are you wearing a fucking scarf? You fucking pussy. Now here, just like, oh, I need to leave my scarf. Oh, where's my hands might get chapped. I can't get my gloves. Oh shit, you know, just like.
Yeah,
feeling like the little brother in A Christmas Story with his arms out like this, like Jesus in Rio de Janeiro or something like that, you know. So
yeah, worship me. Is that goddamn American out there shouting at the top of his lungs again?
Why is he demanding?
I am your God. I am who you've all strived to become.
Yes. I scream that every day on my commute to work. Hey, it gets me a spot on the bus as well as on the train. So, you know, here he comes. You know, we're all open-minded to like the we're open-minded to like the we'll just say it, the mentally weaker. Just let him take the fucking seat. You know, he'll shut him up for the moment.
He's coming on board this train. He's got a shirt on that says "Remember 9/11" on it with a big American flag. He's carrying a bottle of Sprite.
On the flag, it's like fucking ass, like Ronald McDonald and a yellow M&M, like saluting at a sideways angle.
It's got all the McDonald's characters saluting in like army fatigues.
Just like a bunch of just like fast food and like brand mascots. You got the yellow M&M, you got Ronald, you got like Mickey Mouse, you got like who else?
You got Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney, why not? Sure. John Madden, you know.
Just all the ones there, just to really show off your all-Americanness.
I'm just now thinking, we'll get back to Christmas stuff in a second, but I'm just thinking, like, you ever see like those really tacky shirts of like, you know, it's like a Native American and he has like a full moon behind him and there's like a wolf and then like another like wolf or an eagle or something. It always kind of has like a tie-dye effect. Just do that, but just with like corporate America stuff. So you just have like I said, just name off the things I was just talking about, like Mickey Mouse looking all like heroic, and then like Ronald McDonald, like serious profile looking into the sunset, that type of shit. But it's like all the same placement as one of those like tacky Native American flags, you know, or blankets, whatever.
Yeah, all those like that comes from like that old timey like era when like the Native Americans used to be able to sell a bunch of art to like Americans, and then they invented casinos. It would be nice if all that went away.
This. Look what you took away, white man. I guess you got a point. Yeah, our bad.
And then right, an American guy told me that.
But right next to that, there'd always be the super pro-American one, where it's like a soldier with like holding like a gun, like a M16 or something, and then there's like Black Hawk helicopter behind them. It says like like ready for the fight or whatever, like into the storm or some shit like that.
Yeah, I don't know how those always kind of seem to go hand to hand together. Like it's like here's like maybe because that guy's like, you know what, you Native American, you are full American. Like I get it. Here, have a Confederate flag. You deserve it, boy.
We named the Apache helicopter after you.
Yeah.
Shit.
That's the greatest honor any man could have. Well, I'm Comanche. Same fucking thing, right? I'm from Peru. Yeah, whatever. I've been to New Mexico as well.
Actually, sorry to puss out. The thing itches. Was taking it off. It itches.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how those things are. It's like it's fine, and then like 20 minutes later, like Jesus Christ, my head can't breathe one bit.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, something they got here though. They actually got 2 Christmases here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just
that's what broken kids' families have here in America.
That's a what?
Broken families or whatever. That's what the kids get here in America. They got 2 Christmases as well.
But I mean, like federally. So broken families, like just imagining they'll come like, hey Billy, like yeah, like your mom and I are getting a divorce. Like I figured, but hey, silver lining. What's that? 2 Christmases, totally worth it. Like the kid's just super amped now. Like, and 2 birthdays, awesome.
Changes everything.
And that's the mom leans in, like, yeah, and Steve has a better job, so he can buy more toys. And looks over at the dad and like, oh, you fucking bitch.
Yeah, unlike real dad, he didn't blow all his money on a new BMW.
He didn't blow all his money on NFTs. Well, what was that? I'm sorry. What was that thing? The Logan Paul crypto zoo bullshit. Yeah, we're still waiting on that one, aren't we, honey? Like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah.
You're like, well, I still got investments. I got something to do. I feel like those NFTs definitely did just kind of come and go, like everyone sort of suspected.
Yeah. It was kind of like, just. I guess that's the thing about a lot of new technology. It kind of seems like I think some aspect of it's going to hang around, but not that part of it where it's just like, look, it's a fucking chimpanzee. Like, all right, what about it? It is like literally snake oil salesman. You get the first couple who made a killing, and the rest just like since they got to get on it before it's all actually has laws, bit traceable and criminalized to it. So it's all been said by this point, but yeah, that shit came and went so fastly. So fastly.
Yeah.
So it's late
so
here.
Fastly. I mean, it'll probably come back, but like somebody else will find something different to do with it that makes more logical sense instead of trying to be like, it's digital trading cards. You're like, I always was so surprised. It's like, I'm surprised Nintendo never jumped on that. I'm like, that sounds like the best way to market Pokemon cards again is to sell them as NFTs. Like where you buy fucking booster packs, that same style. Like I felt like that was like one of those. I know Nintendo probably was like, well, okay, well maybe we don't want to be, in that domain, but like that's how it should have been. You just needed to market them with actually something that people actually care about card wise, and I think that's what really worked. Yeah.
They were going to do that. Like Sega did some NFTs and they got some shit for it. I think a bunch of them, because like everybody for a minute, like the second they heard about NFTs, like every celebrity just like, oh, so they make some quick money off it. Like Quentin Tarantino got sued because he tried to make some NFTs off Pulp Fiction or something. And now, I think it's that thing they hear about it. Like, so I just got to JPEG this shit and throw it on, and someone's going to, yeah, so let's see what happens. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then you get the people that hear, like, they hear just a summary, and when they look to an intern, like, figure that shit out, and they walk out the room, and then you get the people who have, like, the long-term, like, goal of it, so, not saying that that's good either, but still, it's, But yeah, that shit came and went. But yeah. God, been a fucking year. That's for sure. It's been a year.
Yeah, well, that's how some of those years go. They turn into another year, and it keeps rolling.
Math works. We kind of forget it, but it is one of those things. Like, I don't know. I guess the thing about Christmas is always like, start thinking about death too. I don't know. I guess the end of the year, I always end up just start thinking about death. Like the trees are like the leaves are dying. I guess I'm gonna be dead one day too, won't I? Yeah. Okay. Let's roll on that for a minute.
Yeah, there's definitely, as always, I guess, because wintertime gives you more time periods, I guess, to think and to contemplate on stuff. You're not nearly as distracted by maybe some of those like summerness that's like out there and activities and whatnot. Because really winter's filled with a bunch of stuff that genuinely takes money if you want to go out and do it, where summer it's filled with a lot of stuff that takes absolutely no money to go out and do.
Well, it's like, let's stay inside because it's fucking cold out. And then like, well, if we want to stay inside here, you got to pay money. Like, oh, I guess we do. Shit, So.
Yeah. You got that. Or if it's like it's like for the people that's like, oh, I'm going to go play in the snow, which really just means like, I'm going to go somewhere where I can blow a bunch of money on skiing or snowmobiling or, any of that kind of stuff.
That's a sport I cannot really. I mean, I'm sure if I tried it, it'd be fun. But I'm like at the point, like, that's too much of a time and money investment for someone in their mid-30s now,
Which one? Skiing or snowmobiling?
Oh, I guess. I mean, snowmobiling. I don't really have the place for it. It just kind of like I'm thinking more skiing, but like snowmobiling, you just get on and just ride. But at the same time, just like where at. I mean, I almost get more like the hassle now of like, because sometimes you get people like, oh, I just need to get a boat. I just want to have a boat, and I'm just thinking about like, I mean, I don't want to have to go through the hassle of getting that thing on a fucking trailer, backing it into the water, doing all this, doing all that. I just kind of like, that's the shit. Like, it's not even all like the maintenance of the boat. It's like getting it from point A to point B and then like getting back home. Like, oh, there's not even a fucking parking spot. Fuck, and have to go circle around like 5 times this massive ass thing, So that's the shit that like, it's the small stuff like that stops me from doing a lot in life. I'm not going to lie.
Well, yeah. Well, plus I don't like those, the best way to sort of look at a lot of that stuff is like, the unnatural sort of sports, I guess you can kind of say, where it takes all this equipment. Well, you know what I mean? Like, it's like skiing is a perfect example of that / snowboarding. It's not just like you just go out and you go, hey, it just snowed. I'm going to ski through the woods and look at me go. No. Like, it's like, let's go up there. Let's plow the living daylights out of this mountain all summer long. You know what I mean? Let's toss these trees, get them the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Let's put up all these buildings and shit and put in a bunch of machines that are going to tow people up because they're too fucking lazy to walk up a hill, and then we're going to have them skiing down and snowboarding down. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes like I think about all that kind of stuff in there, where, like something like the kind of like, golfing. Like surfing. Surfing's kind of like, well, yeah, golfing's in that same category too. Like, how much destruction it takes just to, it's not just like you're swinging fucking golf balls out in the middle of nowhere, No, they got to plow it all down, take out all the stuff, yada, yada, yada. Very similar to skiing, where it's like something like surfing. Like, well, what does surfing really take? Well, you got to make a board, and even some people get away without even having a board, but that's about it. It's not like you have to go out there and start plowing the fucking ocean down just to make your surf.
Yeah, you don't have to get like a bunch of people just like, okay, now like taking a big wave for it or something. Yeah.
No. So it doesn't have that. Like, so I always kind of all those kind of things there. And then I also like, because nowadays like skiing, it's like one of those ones where it's like to go like for one day, like at a cheap resort is like $140 if you do, and that's if you own your equipment. You throw in if you have to rent or anything like that, you could be out there for like a $250 day. And I look at that kind of stuff and go like, unless you're willing to try out for the Olympics, like what's the point of skiing? I hate to sort of say it, or like snowboarding, like it's either all in or not at all. Like
if it's one of those things like I'm only gonna do it once or twice a year, I don't, but if it's something you follow, like you get those guys like, man, I just follow the Nar wavage, brah. And you get those guys, but then if you get the people who just go around from like, well, where's it snowy? Where's it windy all year? Where they just go from place to place like that or do it as soon as they can. I get that, I totally get that.
Yeah.
But it's when you have the, I mean, I'm kind of there too. You get those weekend warriors, or the people who do it only like once a year or twice a year. You get those people where they just go on a big trip, which if that's what you want to do, more power to you. But I don't know. I just never really.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I actually see a lot of the, what's the word I'm looking for? I actually see a lot of the fun and value in like wanting to go on a ski trip with a bunch of people. I just don't give a shit about the skiing. Like I see wanting to rent a cabin out in the woods with some friends and hang out and drink and party. I see that. It just, can we leave the skiing out? That's my thing.
Yeah. Well, this is the way that I remember me and Cisco were talking about this like a while back, because it's like, I was like, I would never go skiing ever again. He's like, yeah, neither would I. I'm like, the way I look at it is, it's like, why would I put myself in a dangerous situation for no reason? Like, if it's like, it's not going to pay off, I'm not making any money off this, it's not really doing anything for me. You know what I mean? There's much better exercises. For anybody who thinks to use that as the thing, like, oh, it's great exercise. Like, that's like the same people that use the excuse that bicycling is good exercise. You know, it's like one of those ones that it's like, yeah, no, none of that or anything like that. But it's like, yeah, like Sonny Bono died that way. When I saw that at 10 years old, I was like, that's it. It's that right there. Tell me everything. I watched this dude on TV growing up, and all of a sudden he crashed to a tree. Done. Never again.
So funny thing. The one time my family went on a ski trip with some neighbors, it was like the weekend when Sonny Bono died. And I was like, you don't know geography, you're a kid. Like, was it here? Was it up the hill? You know, they're like, okay, Ryan, we're all going to go skiing. And, you know, like I was, you know, the neighbor's kid brought their Sega Genesis and Sonic Spinball just came out. And I was like, I mean, we could go skiing. We could do that. But, you know, Sonny Bono just died and Sonic Spinball just came out. So, you know, priorities. You know?
Yeah, I'm playing it safe.
What if I died like Sonny Bono's a full-grown man. He probably had an Emmy. Or Grammy. He probably had a better idea of what he was doing than me. Okay, granted, they're probably not going to be all right. Here's the Sonny Course kid, you know, throw him down there, just chuck the kid down like some export course. But I was like, as a kid, I was like, he probably had a better idea doing them what I did. So what I was going to do, because it would have been my first time. So I was like, no, I'm going to be the fat kid at home playing Sega Genesis all day. I'll play in the snow when you guys get back, but no, this is me here. And that was like one of those definitely disappointed dad moments. Like, I don't fucking believe this shit. The kid rather be inside playing this fucking hedgehog bullshit than going out and playing in the snow with his family. And like, yeah, I'm sorry. In this case, yeah.
Well, that's one thing I've learned, kind of like, you know, like when I think about it, like once you're kind of old and you look back here, I kind of go, and you hear those other stories where there's those people, they're like, yeah, you know, like my parents would go on vacation places or something like that, and they were just cool. They were just like, they just brought the Super Nintendo and just, you know, I'm like, you could just leave that in the hotel room. I don't need to go anywhere, and be totally fine with that. I'm like, I get that. When I hear that, I'm like, I can see that. Like, it's not saying the other stuff's not interesting, but at the same time, let's be honest, as a kid, like, that's all I really want to be doing. Like, you know, like there we go. There it is right there. Everything's complete. Why leave? At that age, I kind of understand that a little more. I mean, I think there still needs to be, I think in all honesty, I say this not being a parent, but I feel like when like at some point you should probably, all right, buddy, come leave the house. Let's go do something else. I get that to an extent. Yeah. But at the exact same time, as a kid, I understand the initial pushback, and depending on what it is. And my thing, I wasn't like crying, like, I don't want to die like Sonny Bono, but it was just like, you know what? I mean, I was a kid who was like a little nervous about everything. The day it always happened on a fucking vacation too. Like the day Oklahoma bombing happened, we're on our way to
Lake Shasta, and somewhere in the Bay Area, there's this big, tall bridge. You have to pass over this part of the bay. And I was like, holy shit, what if he attacks the bridge? Like that was in Oklahoma. What if he has friends? You know, so like just like, that kind of shit. So the time we're going over the bridge, like someone's going to bomb this fucking thing. Someone's going to bomb this fucking thing. So I was very influenced on whatever was happening in the world at that time. So Sony Bona died, Oklahoma City botting. I'm sorry, I'd rather just stay inside and play Sonic Spinball today. Okay, don't judge me.
It's safer here.
But at the same time, though, like it's one of those things where I kind of get like I understand from both sides, like disappointed parent, like why could the kid not want to come out? I mean, because I did go out and do stuff eventually, you know, on that trip. Just that day, I was like, no, playing it safe. But other stuff, though, like I do kind of get it, but I think sometimes parents kind of forget like what it is to be a kid and realize, I think every generation in some ways, maybe not to the parent, but every generation of childhood probably gets a little better each time in a lot of cases, I think. Because so I remember sometimes hearing parents like, I can't like, you know, be like a family gathering and there'll be a bunch of like old people. Like, and I don't mean old as in, oh, they're 40. I mean
just
like old
just like a bunch of fucking old crows just sitting around like bitching about the youth.
Well, to an extent, but I remember there would be times where, like, you know, like it would be like a big family gathering. There'd be a bunch of like, you know, like people like in like a bunch of old fucks in their 60s and older, big complaining about
just
like
eating like caramel candies.
Yes, you know, and like dry trail mix or whatever, you know, and then
Coca-Cola's from 1898.
Yeah. Able to like crack it open with their teeth or whatever, with their dentures, you know, and then complaining about like, why do the kids rather play their Game Boy than sit here and explain their school and we could tell them what it was like when we were in school? Like, why the fuck would they want to do that? Why the fuck would they want to? That Christmas stuff always brings that kind of memory up. Like, why the fuck are the kids? Why do you guys sit here and play Pinochle? Of course, the kid's gonna want to play like a Bug's Life on Game Boy Color. What the fuck are you talking about? You know.
Well, it's funny because it's like so many times it goes ahead. Is it's like we're now at that point where like okay, it's where now there's like the adults and they're like, hey kids, come on, we got some fucking video games in there. And they're like, whoa, I'm good, dude, but they're video games. No, that's not for me. And you're like, it's like the most bizarre thing ever. It's like, wow, they turn down video games now. It's weird. What do you got that's fucking better than video games on that phone? Let's be honest. Give me that fucking piece of shit. You don't got something better than video games on there. Now you're just making shit up.
Are you talking about? Wait, so is this you at like Laura's family's place?
Yeah, I've just seen it with multiple times with kids that video games aren't the cool thing like they once were. Like, you know, I'm not saying that there's kids that don't play games. Of course, there's the Fortnite kids who like, what are you playing there? Fortnite. Well, what else are you playing? Who fucking cares? And you're like, okay, but then there's just kids just like, yeah, video games is like they give a flying fuck.
Probably depends.
It's not like they look like they're fucking sporty kids or anything like that. Like, you know, like they'd rather be out throwing the old like, you know, pig leather around or something like that. No. You know, no. Like they definitely don't look like those either. So it's bizarre. You know, because I just picture like in the 90s, if some like old uncle looking figure came in and was like, yo, Spencer, you want to play some fucking video games? I'd be like, fuck yeah! And they're like, okay, we're going to put on fucking heavy metal as well, too. Both the music and the movie. It's got nudity in it and it's animated. Fucking awesome! You want to learn to gamble?
Best Christmas ever!
Exactly. You know, nowadays it's like, you know, you went in there with like that attitude out and you're not winning any favors. Granted, that would probably still work on me though. I mean, I'd be like, I would still be excited for
like, I know how to gamble, but okay. I already seen heavy metal, but let's watch it again. Oh, on VHS too. Cool.
Even better.
He has it on vinyl too.
Yeah. So yeah, we are now at that transitional period where now the video games, like, or at least video games is like their normal incarnations are not nearly as are losing a little bit of the youth.
I guess I haven't had many interactions. I guess I either have like nephews on my side of the family are all like old enough to where they like video games and they play them still, or they got like they're old enough to they're hanging out with their girlfriend at Christmas or Thanksgiving or something like that, you know. Or my wife's side of the family, all my nephews and nieces are like all just like so young. They I'm not going to say I'm their favorite uncle, but they're always excited to come over there because, I have a Switch, I have a video game. I actually know what some of the, it's actually kind of funny. Like I'm not complaining. I love my in-laws, but it's kind of funny because they just know, oh, he likes old video games and some of these cartoons or whatever the fuck, you know? So that like, you know, they know that I like Sonic and their kid likes Sonic. Oh, so Ryan, do you know what Paw Patrol is? Like, no, I know of it. No, I don't follow Paw Patrol. Like, you know, it's just like
you sure look like a big fan. Well, we got you this present for Christmas. You know, here's an extra large Paw Patrol shirt.
We know you're borderline autistic, so here's a plushie of Chase. You know, no, but like it's like like it was just one of those things where it's just kind of like I was like, oh no, I don't know that one, but it was just one of those things of like I was just like it's just like, oh, he likes Mario, he took him to see the Mario movie, he likes Sonic, oh, we're connecting the dots. You know this ladybug shit the kid's talking about? Like I don't know the ladybug shit. No, sorry. Like I don't so I'm now just like I'm like, oh, me, that's your special uncle. He's a special needs uncle. He could connect with you easier. They don't say that or nothing. Just if you guys somehow
just don't sit on his lap.
Oh, do not take it there. Do not take it there, dude. Do not. Jesus fucking Christ. Fuck.
Especially when he's got only his Paw Patrol shirt on.
Yeah, don't take it there. Don't take it. We're just assuming. Yeah. No.
He's like, no. I don't fucking like Paw Patrol. Well, okay, Ryan. We'll take the shirt back, I guess.
Guess you're not getting this. No Christmas gift for you this year.
So start packing them all up. You know what? We're out of here.
Yeah, go no, they don't. No, that I'm not. It's not something that happens every time. There was just like one or two things like that. Like, oh, am I just the giant am I just the giant like child here in this? I guess I'm the giant child. All right, if you guys somehow hear this, which I doubt, but if you somehow hear this, I'm not offended. Just putting that out there. I just thought it was kind of funny. But anyway, that's to my in-laws. They stumble across this one episode, you know.
The only one they check out and get this far in.
Yeah, they probably. I hear family checks out an episode. I'm like, you guys didn't make it far. I know you didn't make it far.
No, let's be honest. Especially when like you don't listen to podcasts in general too. I feel like the format itself would be kind of a weird one. Like it's like, okay, if this was gonna be the very first thing you ever jumped into, you know.
Yeah, especially
that part's gonna throw you off.
Like, oh, and they are talking about Street Fighter. I have no idea what that is. Off, you know.
Yeah, well, whatever that is.
Some fuck called Sam Peckinpah. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, all the old stuff. But yeah, no, I don't know.
I was thinking of regarding some Christmas stuff. I was thinking because like while I was in the States, I was watching because I see Home Alone every year just about, and I was like, you know what, I like Home Alone, but I feel like I've seen it too many times. I could probably take 2 years without watching it just to refresh myself because I feel like I know it like the back of my hand. It's always on at someone's house during Christmas, whether the volume's on or off. So watching Home Alone 2 for the first time in a long time, and maybe unpopular opinion, I like that one more, but there's something kind of interesting about Home Alone as a franchise, just sticking to the first two, because the first two are the only ones that really matter. No disrespect to the cast and crew of the other ones. First two are the only ones that really matter. It is kind of like, I don't think it's intentional, but, and this isn't me trying to be like overly politically correct or anything, but I do think it is a very classist, like, look at these fucking annoying poor people. Like, I almost kind of feel like it wasn't their intention to do that, but it kind of comes across that way, but in some way that kind of makes it a little funny when you stop and think about it. Because if you really break down Home Alone, I think it's really the producers and the writers like, okay, we got to make it fun for the parents. We also got to make something fun for the kids. So we got to make it visually interesting. So let's give it a big house. Make it a big house, something visually interesting, something fun to look at. We got to explain why the house is there. So the parents are wealthy, okay, or they're really well off, whatever. But then, like, all the things that keep them from getting home, they got to find a way to things that keep them from getting home. So you have, like, the mom and the dad just being some of the worst fucking people. Like, and even in the first one, there's a part where, like, there's a French lady on the phone, and she's like, "It's an emergency. Excuse me, American. He'll call you back." Like you have no idea what that lady is fucking talking to. She could have just said, like, "How many bodies? How many bodies?" Is Lemire among them? Is Lemire among them? You know, like, you have no idea what the fuck that conversation was right there. And then you think about, like, the wet bandits. Like, here come these fucking poor people coming in and trying to steal our shit, you know? And then, like, thinking back on, like, the second one, aside from the wet bandits coming back, the villains are hotel staff, which are people like, we just got to do our, like, Rob Schneider and, like, Tim Curry, like, we really just want to do our fucking job. We just, you know, Tim Curry's just like, they make him kind of slimy in the way Tim Curry is, but he's asking legitimate questions. Let's be honest.
Yep. Yeah. It's weird because it's like, you know, it comes from John Hughes, and it goes to show that maybe his life changed because, you know, like, it's much different than Vacation, like how that feels like a pretty, like, real normal family, you know, maybe just slightly, you know, a little variation of blue collar. I guess his dad's in preservatives, but you know, like, there's not see anything too special about that, and that's only like 10 years before these movies, and then it's all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, John Hughes maybe gets his money. He's like, you know what I fucking hate? Poor people, the service, the staff. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking on it, and I'm just kind of like, I don't think it's really intentional. I don't think they really do hate people. I think just they put themselves, like, I'm not by any means offended by it. I still like both those movies. I just think it's kind of interesting because the family is fucking horrible. It is a really horrible fucking family. And Kevin, yeah, sure, he's a spoiled rich kid, whatever. But there's enough to make you kind of like, his family is so shitty in comparison that it kind of makes you kind of root for Kevin a little bit. Like, the idea that, like, in the second one, they're at a school play and his big brother is being a dick to Kevin in front of everybody, and Kevin's like, motherfucker, and, like, socks him in the stomach and, like, apparently ruins the play. And it's like, Kevin, how could you do that? Like, you all saw what the fuck Buzz was doing. And then, like, you know, like, yeah, well, you know what, he said he was sorry. He said he was sorry in a very fake, condescending way. You guys couldn't fucking tell? Like, no, Kevin, we couldn't, because we trust Buzz because he's a good boy, unlike you. And he's like, well, fuck you. I hope you all fucking die. I fucking hate Christmas. I don't want to see you again. You know, just this whole freak out, like, you know, like, well, it happened last year. Maybe it happened good again this year. God, I hope you all fucking die. Like, you know, it's like, oh, looks at the camera, I got my Christmas wish again. Which is basically, that's kind of like how they both open up, more or less, just that effect, more like I'm just thinking about that. And even like even when you think about, like, no offense to Macaulay Culkin, but when he was a kid, he was just a cute little kid. He really wasn't a good actor. It really feels like he's reading off the cue cards. So when, like, says, like, oh, what's this? Poor people. Like, hey guys, if you want to, like, you know, pay, if the welfare money ran out, you might want to try running upstairs. Hopefully your shoes don't break on the way up because you're so fucking poor. You got it from the discount store. Like, oh, you motherfucker. They run up and then, like, you know, breaks his legs. Like, oh, I hope your health plan covers that. Oh wait, you're probably too poor to afford that too.
And this character, he's gonna have, like, no knowledge about, like, you know, because really, like, the wet bandits could also even be, like, they could just be normal, like, blue collar working guys of, like, Chicago that, you know, all these rich people have moved in and outpriced them, and now they're just taking the revenge on it. So, but by that point, they could be freedom fighters.
they could be totally like they got gentrified out of their neighborhood. Like, we used to live in this fucking house, like that kind of thing.
yeah. Well, our entire families live in this house. Not just 10 of you.
That goes back to the other thing, because in the first one, he's scared. All right, the first guy, because every movie there's somebody, they're like, even the third one, there's somebody the kid is scared of and or doesn't like, and then he learns that, oh, they're nicer due to these circumstances or whatever. Like the first one, it was more of just an urban legend. He heard the guy who salted the streets was like a serial killer or something like that, but he was just some lonely old man. The second one, though, it is a homeless Irish lady living in the park, and she's just covered in birds, and everything he could see when he's like walking around in New York at night, he comes across like just some lady. It's maybe in the middle of the day too. He comes across some lady with pigeons. He's like, poverty, and just runs away, and then later he has like a sweet moment with her, and they kind of like build a little bit of a relationship to an extent, and then like she saves him or whatever, and then he goes out. They're in this giant lavish, like the presidential suite at the end of like Home Alone 2, and he goes out to say hi to her. And granted, I feel like two things happened. Like I feel like they came to a crossroads in that, because he could have invited her up to like, come up to our penthouse. You don't have to stay out here in the cold and Christmas. He could have done something sweet like that. But instead, like, Kevin, did you spend $900 on room service? And then, then he like bolts off like, fuck you, Merry Christmas. Just runs off like, oh, okay. He's like, you spent $900. You're bringing some poor bitch covered in fucking pigeons upstairs.
Yeah, fucking pigeon shit everywhere.
They could have done something like that. They could have done like, just that little nice extra of like, hey, you shouldn't be alone on Christmas. Oh, thank you, Kevin. Well, that's your problem. I'm just saying you shouldn't. I'm not offering a solution.
Yeah. You're the one standing here dressed like fucking Vulcan Raven.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, that's like the thing. It's like, I think that's one of those ones too. Like, I noticed that a lot in movies where like you just see like sometimes just how fucking rich people are, like, and I've noticed that for many years by now, but like you'll just kind of see that, and it's kind of like you look at some of that stuff and you go, how the hell is anyone supposed to really relate to that? Like, let's be honest, it's like one of those ones. There is a time and a place where like you don't need to relate to certain things. Like if you're watching, certain like kings and queens type stuff, you're like, well, I'm not supposed to relate like directly on, like, I get it, you know what I mean? I've been there too, but I think sometimes like when you see those movies like that, they're meant to be like people like act like they relate, but it's like, you don't fucking relate to this family. Let's be honest. Like, what I mean? Probably if you knew this family in school, you'd be like, these guys are a bunch of fucking assholes.
Well, I think it's also, like I said, I think it's really just a lot of the things about Home Alone 1 and 2 are like explanations in a way to make a kids movie about wish fulfillment. Like the concept of a kid by himself can do whatever he wants. What wacky hijinks are you gonna get into? And then the second one, like, how do we amp this up? Well, he took his dad. Look, first off, the way he loses his kid in the second movie, it's like, motherfucker, you guys have a bad habit of losing this fucking kid. You're like Liam Neeson, like Taken, could give you guys some tips and like how to get the kid back. What the fuck is going on here? It's like, because he's like, you lost this kid before, and you got to make your fucking plane. And you say, all right, small child with stubby little legs that can't keep up with me, follow me, let's go. Here's like $5,000. Hold on to that. Let's fucking go. And just like runs through the fucking like crowded ass airport on Christmas Eve. It's like, how'd you think this was going to happen the second time around? It hasn't even been 2 years. It's like 1 year apart, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's going on here?
But anyway, yeah, I think it's a lot of it's just kind of like, we got to find a way to make wish fulfillment. I think there's a lot of kids like, man, if I had all that money and I was in New York, I would get a limo and I would eat a pizza and I would go to like some toy store that only sells like toys from the 1800s, as well as some kind of like dinosaur slippery gack thing, whatever that shit was, you know. And then like
yeah. Well,
I think
I was gonna say
they just gotta make explanations for it.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the thing too. Is like as a kid, I think that's also why like that house is sort of designed the way it is. Is it wants to you want to make it look like, wow, that looks fucking awesome. Look at all the possibilities he has there and all the stuff he can use. Because I think that is always a big thing as a kid. Is you just kind of dream like a lot more what ifs. You know, it's the classic like, what if I won the Toys R Us like 15-minute all you can shove in my cart shopping spree? What would I do with that? You know, kind of that sort of like mentality. And so on like that. Or if you're Macaulay Culkin, you're like, well, what if I was Macaulay Culkin and I got to hang out with Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson, the two big MJs.
At the same party, rocking around the Christmas tree with those guys, yeah. And Marilyn Monroe or whatever the other cutout was. But I'm thinking on that, like I was thinking like, I honestly think you could do like, and I don't mean like, oh, like Saw. No, I don't mean like Saw, but like you could do like a dark version of that where the kid is like a little fucking sociopath, and it's not like, oh, he's being kind of funny. Like, no, he is a sociopath, but he has the same cadence and like jokiness and like calmness. Because that's the other thing about like Kevin in like Home Alone is he's so fucking calm. And he's so like, this has been plotted out for many years. This is like, he does kind of have that weird, like supervillain kind of like, well, we will see, poor people, won't we? We will see, so like, he's never really that scared that many times. So I'm just kind of like, if you were to like do like a dark comedy thing where, like where it's like an R-rated version of Home Alone, more or less.
Yeah, well, there's so many of the things he does in Home Alone that, like, it's like, okay, if this was realistic, like, there would be so much more violence and gore and so on like that. Because some of those traps are like, they pass them off Looney Tunes like wacky, but like if that was real or in real life, like that would be very brutal.
Well, some of them get me still. Like, it's not there's the big audacious ones where it's like someone gets hit in the face with like a paint can, or someone gets like like hitting the balls with something where you laugh about it, all the slapstickness of it. Then there's the ones that get real for a minute, where one of them like steps on a nail like that for a minute, just because that's just so much more real, so much more viable, so.
And well, isn't it nail and tars together? Like,
yeah, no, he's like,
something like really fucked up. Like, where not only do you get stabbed, but then you can't get your foot back up.
Yeah, like that is some real serial killer shit. And then the hand thing, where he like scarred Joe Pesci's hand with the burning the
electricity
knob. No, burning the knob.
That's right. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like he's doing some stuff there. Like, I almost would like to see like what like Home Alone would be like with like a trailer park kid who just happened to be really like creative, but then just went really to town on it. We got nothing to lose.
Home Alone with a potential school shooter. Yeah.
Just like he's just turning that on to like, I'm not saying he's like he'll be one of those kind of kids, but like just the idea of like you take someone who's got a little bit different set of skills and maybe not nearly as it's not fun and wacky the same way.
I would still like serious. give it like the fun, like to the kid it's kind of like give it kind of like the fun and wackiness, but the violence actually happens and the movie's not aware that it's kind of fucked up. Like, oh, look at that. And someone's holding their jaw like, fuck, like mouth pouring, blood pouring.
Yeah, from getting smashed in the face of a paint can.
Yeah, and it has you still have the goofy, like slippery, so like, woo, 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 like type sound effects, but it's like ultra violent,
Yeah, no, I think that would be an interesting way to kind of go about it. Just to take it to that level,
I support that. I guarantee you. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me the least bit if there's like a straight to streaming or straight to video movie, a straight to DVD movie, like where someone just like, it's Home Alone, but it's R-rated and fucked up. It wouldn't surprise me if someone did that, or if someone's at least pitched that a couple of times.
Yeah, you know somebody's got to kind of run across it. I mean, even like the safe way would be to make it a dark comedy. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I think that could be the way. If you try to do it serious, would be the one would be like that'd be the ballsy version of it.
I would actually go for more of the dark comedy because I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes the whole thing of like it's this thing from your childhood, but it's fucked up. It's like, I mean, you can do that. It can work depending on what it is, but a lot of the times it just feels like you're fucking trying hard. Like, especially if you
Like the
got like,
Pooh Bear and like the
yeah,
Winnie the Pooh killer thing. Yeah, it's just like
that's exactly what I was thinking. Especially if you only have the rights to Pooh and Piglet and you only have like a $200 budget, then like, what's the fucking point? You know,
yeah,
go fucking hard if you're gonna do, or don't even do just make another slasher film. I would do some like not this exactly, but to bring it back to Christmas for a second, um, like Woodland Critter, Satanic Christmas, something kind of like that, where they look cute and
yeah,
cuddly, but they're doing some kind of like animalistic ritual that's all like, rather than just being like, oh look, it's it's Pooh Bear, but he's got sharp teeth, but it's like oh no, it kind of looks familiar, but also the colors are a little muted, and they're also kind of calls back to some kind of like Viking pagan shit, just something kind of like that. Like I think that's always infinitely more scary than just like, trying to make it just a standard slasher type thing.
just making our Blumhouse film.
Yeah, pretty much, Go A24 with it. I mean, A24 is not always fantastic. I think a lot of A24 movies are great. I think I have an A24 movie or two on my list for this year, but just that more weirder, artsier approach, I think is usually by this point I just kind of like that more for horror, in all honesty.
Yeah, well, it's like one of those ones. Like I just don't like some of those like it's many of the modern horror movies like in general. It's like that they've all kind of fallen prey to that kind of generic kind of like okay here's the scares. It's almost like horror by the numbers kind of is like how so many of them are
Do you
made
mean jump
anymore. And
scares?
well, jump scares are one of them, but like there's a lot of stuff in them and just where like it just feels like they're just kind of the same thing over and over again. Nobody's putting any real creativity into it, or you're not doing enough like of literally having the old school like where you can have fear without having to have any jump scares or anything like that, and it can just be all like in the sort of the background.
Yeah, I kind of like the slow burn kind of fear, and I feel like a lot of, not always, but a lot of A24 shit is usually that. But um, it's also kind of a case by case basis, kind of like more of just the unsettlingness or the uncomfortableness of it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Going back to like, I was actually, I didn't finish it, but I started. Did you by chance see that? Because I was looking for new Christmas specials because you have your 5 Christmas movies you watch maybe a year or so. Um, did you see? I didn't finish it, but did you see Merry Little Batman?
No, I did see that kind of pop up on Amazon or whatever it was, but
It's okay so far. It's one of those movies you watch, and it's kind of like I like certain ideas about this, and I think this could be really cool. And there's some moments, but it's also like it's also one of those things like it is more of a kids thing. I know it's a
yeah.
cartoon. I know it's a cartoon, but it's also doing some of those things where only someone who grew up in the '90s or the '80s would get this joke or this reference. There's literally a because they make the art styles kind of weird. They make it look kind of like a children's Chris, like the art style looks kind of like this best way I can think of to describe it, like a children's picture book from the '90s, like that also kind of has a Nickelodeon-esque kind of aesthetic. You know what I mean? It has that
Okay.
that kind of look, which is fitting because it's a Christmas movie. um and it also the musical Christmas choices are actually pretty good because they go with some big ones, but they're not all immediately ones you think of, like it opens up with the Kinks, Father Christmas,
Uh-huh.
and there's some like deep cut Batman jokes in there, but then there's also like it's just a little too kind of kiddie. I might finish it eventually, but we'll kind of take my time on that one. When I'm done watching Die Hard for the second time, maybe. Um, but there's like they actually have a scene that I kind of appreciated this where because the kid, do you know who the little Batman is by chance? You see the trailer?
No, I haven't seen anything on it except for the
So
banner.
Batman's retired from Gotham, and now he has Damian is his kid, but his kid he wasn't raised by League of Assassins. He had a very normal childhood, and he's basically in Bruce Wayne is voiced by Luke Wilson, and he's very Bat Dad, very very dad oriented, and the kid just wants to be just like his dad, but so he's not Damian Wayne. He's a happy-go-lucky little kid who wants to be like his dad, which I get. But at the same time, I'm like, I think there's other ways you could have gone about this, but whatever, And then at some point though, some villains come in and they basically try to Home Alone the Wayne Manor, and I kind of like that because he tries the kid does some Batman stuff to dealing with the people trying to there's some blatant Home Alone references and nods. Okay, cool. You're not just doing Batman stuff. That's good. But then as it goes on, it gets a little bit more of like, okay, you're doing this. All right. It's not the word. Wasn't bad, but it was just one of those things kind of like you hear the concept like a family friendly Batman Christmas movie. Like I can actually, in an unironic way, I see a lot of potential for that. But I don't know. It is what it is.
I hate to start saying it has that feeling of that it's like it was made by a bunch of people who aren't really into Batman, but they like the idea of Batman, like kind of stuff. Like, or they're not experts on Batman. They just know kind of who Batman is and so on, and they think they can just kind of run with it and make a story out of it. Like that. That's sort of how it sort of sounds to me.
It's kind of what it was. I mean, there's some people, they definitely had some deep cuts, but then again, I think like a lot of deep cuts, you can do a quick Wikipedia search on stuff this day and age. You know what I mean? And at the same time, it's also like, because I guess I'm just thinking about like, you could still do a family friendly animated Batman movie to be really funny, like Lego Batman, So, it's possible, but at the same time, like I just put it on, like I just see what this is all about, but we were talking about Home Alone, that the Home Alone part of this popped in my head. I mean, Joker flat out kills the two Home Alone goons. They're not real. They're not the wet bandits, but the people who are more or less supposed to be the wet bandits. He kills them. Like, okay, you guys went hard there. He drowned them in the stuff that makes candy canes. Wasn't expecting that, but
Yeah. So there is
unless they pop up at the end, which I didn't get to the end, but sorry.
Yeah. No, as I said, it sounds interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Like one of those Minion ones where it's like, okay, if I saw it, I guess, but I don't know. It just was ones like,
It's very, moments, but moments that I haven't finished it. Who knows? Maybe I'll finish it before Christmas. And I'll be like, oh my God, finish it. And once you get to the last act, holy shit, bro, holy shit, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Everything changes,
It changed my life. It's my favorite movie now.
I know, it's like that thing almost took up a slot that a DCU movie coming out probably was supposed to be.
Nah, it's not making the list. I don't think I have one DC movie on my list this year.
Well, it's not that they
I still got to see Aquaman, but
Yeah, like there's Aquaman. But I mean, like I was thinking about the animated ones. It's like the animated ones were all like they were all good, but there was nothing like standout-ish for a while. That's all I can think about.
I didn't even see Apocalypse War, but you never got around to tell me about it, so.
Oh yeah, that one there.
It took a second. Like, oh yeah, another one.
I was like, which one was that one again? Like, oh, that's the one with the 3 stories in it, and they all kind of like interconnect and so on. It was still interesting. I still enjoyed it. It's one of those ones where I felt, but like most of them, I don't know what it is. It's like none of them stood out. Like they've all been like that, kind of like good, but it's almost like they kind of haven't got ballsy enough to be radical, or it doesn't just feel nearly as fresh. Maybe I'm not too sure. It's sort of like I think it's just a lot of things kind of going on. A lot of the superhero things is like they've sort of like they all feel like they're even still kind of having that like sort of same old run, and something just needs like a little bit more excitement turned up or something like that.
Well, they're already doing a reboot again. They're already doing Crisis on Infinite Earth, and they have a part 1 and a part 2 coming out. So I'm like, ooh, already shit! It's not even been 10 years, guys.
For the animated universe.
For this new animated universe, yeah.
Oh, yeah, people they love that fucking Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff. Like, it's like one of those ones. Like that to me is like I don't know what it is about that. People just love that for some reason, intermixing, different dimensions. changing the characters all around again. Like it's just like, eh.
It's fun for a minute. Like if you say something kind of like, okay, we're going to build a Justice League out of alternate universe, like superheroes or alternate. So, okay, so here's Dark Knight Returns Batman. Here's Wonder Woman from Dead Earth. Here's like OG Superman or Kingdom Come Superman, something like that. Like if I could see the fun of doing that. But when you get like 2 or 3 of those a year, and I know that team I just said doesn't exist, but if you get those like every other year and you got an excuse to like kill off this character to bring in the alternate version of them or whatever, just for the other original version to come back later or something, or just I don't know. It's all getting a little old. It's just getting old, So
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure if superheroes are. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say it's just like, and a lot of times at the end of the day, it's like it's just the old bread and butter version. A lot of times is like how about you just make better stories with that character instead? It feels like it's like, I don't know. It's just that thing when they try to like pull that stuff in there. It just seems like it seems like a real easy writing thing where it's just like almost like lazy writing to try to get more active engagement out of your audience.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of sad because I remember there's a point where, I'm not nothing I'm going to lose any sleep over, but there was a point where like whenever like a bad or not even a bad, like a movie, like a Marvel movie would come out and people would like it, but it didn't blow the roof off. Didn't blow the roof off a lot of people. So they'd just be like, oh, so this is the beginning of the end. I think this is clearly the end of the superheroes, just jerking off while they're writing this fucking like piece about why, this is truly the death of cinema and this and that. And you're like, all right, dude, stop fucking huffing your own farts. Yes, Marvel movies are not the only thing I watch, but come on, you're being a little fucking pretentious film snob here. And then after a while, like a movie would come out, wouldn't be that great, but then like a movie or two later would come out like, okay, they're back on track. But lately it's been like, they haven't been like, not every movie's been god awful or anything, but they've been a very like, oh, another one of these. Okay. And I think it's going to take like Guardians 3 was really good, but like for a while, like most of them have just been like, oh, one of these again. And I think that that's starting to show for a lot of people. And I think that maybe we are at that point of like, not that another superhero movie is never going to happen, but maybe we're at that point where they're not going to happen as frequently and not everything's going to be connected to a universe after a little while, because Marvel's already getting ready to reboot. At least I believe, if they're building up the Secret War or whatever,
Yeah. No, and I do think that's kind of it. I think it's just the thing is they got too safe with everything. They found a formula, they found, a design structure, and they just have been kind of aping that over and over and over again, instead of realizing that like this goes with anything in cinema. What makes good cinema is when you do stuff that's kind of radically different, or you combine different elements, or you try different things. That's what makes it more interesting. You know what I mean? Because that's, in a sense, what made the superhero movies work in the 2000s, is because there was a lot of things that's like, oh, this is the interesting way to go about it, because one, you just never seen stuff like this on screen before and so on like that. But by about the 2000, like, past the 2010s, once they kind of figured it all, like this is all we need to do, and this will hit all the buttons right. They just kind of milked that a little bit too long.
Yeah, and hopefully they get back on track. I mean, it's not like no good superhero movies has come out in the last couple years. I mean, like I said, Guardians 3 came out this year, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out, and then even before that there was like the Batman, and there's another one, but it's there. I'm trying to blank. There's other, there's it's never really a total dry spell, but it's just, I think that will, like any number of things, people keep on making the Western comparison, but like there's way more Westerns than there were superhero movies. But superhero movies, I guess, didn't like, I don't know. It's not that I think they oversaturate the market. I just think they come out too close together, so.
Yeah. Well, plus Westerns had like a 70-year run before they started to like, people started to get bored of them.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a long run of those. literally since the 1800s. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see. As I said, that's what they gotta do is just kind of spike them with a little bit of new flavor, and try. That's all you gotta do is pull stuff out straight out of the comics. It's like that. It's all right there. It's like that your fucking gold is sitting there, but no one wants to read it too hard. So I want you to just look at the pictures really quickly, and we figure it out. And then I know better than that because I went to film school, so I'm better than a comic book writer. So they start getting that fucking attitude going. And
he just says that, just banging a keyboard.
Yeah, like I don't read. I watch movies. But so I don't know. Yeah, as I said, like none of them have been bad. They're just kind of like that like middle. Like that was good. But, it didn't Dark Knight me, like I guess like that, or feel like a Watchmen or something like where okay, here's something different, or even like things like I know these are kind of different, but like Sin City and things like that, or 300, like those all had a very unique, different feel to each one of those ones.
I'm just imagining a little kid just sitting on Santa's lap, being like, "What do you want for Christmas, Billy?" Like, I want Marvel to start making really good movies again, as well as DC. None of the straight to streaming bullshit. Like, oh, I'm right there with you, kid.
Yeah,
like
you gotta fill out this pay, like this pension I got going.
I have a change.org petition going if you want to jump on this. Here, this is to Bob Iger and that fuck David Zaslav. Like, oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah, you can also donate there too.
No, I'm okay. Yeah, fucking figure and get coal for Christmas, you little fucking bastard. What? Nothing. Thanks for the signature. Get the fuck out.
That's it.
It was just the Santa. Like every time, like a kid gets down, the kid's saying like, "Oh yeah, that. So I want like a Switch and a skateboard for Christmas." Well, that's fantastic, but you know what? Santa could use a little help with something too. What's that? So if you just sign this right here, just find this little signature, just take your little pink finger, just scribble right here on this iPad. Like, what's this for? It's saying that you're gonna help make Santa's dreams come true. Like, what the fuck is that? The mom comes over and just looks like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, go for it. Yeah, okay, yeah, change.org. It's never gonna happen now, but okay.
Yeah, it's got it,
Change once change.org had like make Dante's hair white again. Like, oh, you guys just fucking ruined it. No one's gonna take this website fucking seriously.
Yeah, I think it's all kinds of. It wasn't definitely. It's like it sounds like a nice idea until you realize that anybody can make their own thing. So then it pretty much means that they're worth nothing.
Yeah, like shit. No, okay. I mean, Obama had to address why they can't make a Death Star on change.org, but now, which was kind of like, okay, someone was listening, okay, haha, but then just like, oh, Dante's hair, huh? All right, fuck. Well, it's worth a shot, boys.
But yeah, all that stuff. So, well, there's all sorts of these fun-filled, Christmas movies and so on. You can kind of still go out and watch. They're definitely pushing them hard on any streaming thing, on all their ads and what have you.
If you have if you probably had like a more recent within the last 5 years, Christmas movie, like not one of these super obvious classic ones, what's one you'd probably recommend?
Like a new movie?
No, like let's say 5 years, if you can think.
I don't know. I almost don't really watch Christmas movies, so it's like once in a blue moon I'll throw one on like in June or something like that, but I don't even know. As I said, about the only one I really watch is ever like Jingle All the Way, just because I was Schwarzenegger in it.
I gotta watch that. I was planning on saving that one for Christmas Eve.
Yeah, as I said, because I don't know. It's weird. Like I'm like one of those people. Like I just don't get in that Christmas mood or anything like that too much. I watched Scrooge like a couple months ago. It's just weird. Like, which one did you go to? It's a gravitated towards the one named Scrooge. But that one kind of like movie was okay. It reminded me. It was like all the issues that Quentin Tarantino always tells me of what happens in a Bill Murray movie. I'm like, oh yeah, it's exactly what it is. He's a total ass. Very end of the movie, hard turn to not an ass anymore. No real logical sense.
I haven't heard Tarantino rip into Bill Murray, but that's one of those things because every so often, because I mean, I kind of, he makes a lot of good points whenever he has like his opinions on stuff, but like on like movies and all that. But sometimes I feel like he's being a contrarian. Granted, I haven't made a couple of the greatest movies ever made, but at the exact same time, I get a little kind of like, all right, and you're just being kind of a contrarian right now. But at the other times, like, yeah, I see what he means here, though. So I didn't think about the Bill Murray. Now I'm curious to know, like, because everyone loves Bill Murray, so for him to be like, you know what, I just never really liked Bill Murray that much. He
didn't say he didn't like Bill Murray. He just said that every Bill Murray movie he's like, that's the only thing that's always bothered me about him is he's always a total ass the whole way through the movie, everything like that. And then at the very end of the movie, he just has this hard turn, and then all of a sudden he's the nicest guy in the world. He's like, that happens so often. And he's like, we're like Chevy Chase movies. Chevy Chase will be an ass the whole movie, and he's an ass at the very end of the movie. Like, nothing's changed. He's like, I like that. That's just like whose character is.
I feel like there's a steady progression in Groundhog Day, but in Scrooge, they get what you mean. Granted,
yeah,
that
Scrooge it is just like, I mean, yeah,
that's
hard
a Christmas
turn right
Carol.
there.
That's a Christmas Carol, though, so I kind of get why. At the same time, though, it's one of those things of like, what was it? It was, I guess, recent Christmas movie. I'm going to actually recommend Klaus. And I know that's a really family-friendly one, not a very edgy one, but Klaus was really good. It was like, first off, a 2D animated Christmas movie that was pretty. It's not like you watch it like, oh, this is good for a kids movie. Like, no, it's actually a funny movie, and the animation's beautiful, and it's 2D, and they just kind of like, they highlight it with some not CG, but they highlight it with some cell shading. So it like has this really weird, cool, fluid motion, but it is like 2D animated characters with like 3D enhancement, which is kind of an interesting way to go about it, rather than like 3D with cell shading. You know what I mean? And it came out looking fantastic, and that's a really good Christmas movie. Jason Schwartzman basically being a prick most of the movie, but then slowly changes after time, and J.K. Simmons being Viking Santa Claus, more or less, So, that is I think that's a pretty good one. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one before. That is a good one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, beyond that, I guess I'm doubling down on the Christmas over here because it is fucking cold, and it is like night most of the time. And you're like, let's get fucking happy, shit,
Yeah, go off the Christmas stuff there. Get that on, put the lights up and all that stuff, and all make logical sense and whatnot.
Wear a hat, even though it fucking itches. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck the hat though.
Yeah. Only for a minute.
Fucking it's itchy ass hat.
Use it for a thumbnail. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, beyond all that good stuff, go to oldmanorange.com. Podcast, comic books like Pizza Boys, animations, and all that fun stuff. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.